I'm Sonic and I saw Knuckles episode 6. What happens in Reno stays in Reno. It is directed by Carol Banker, written by John Whittington, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts with following Wade and also his dad as they're bowling in the bowling tournament, and they get really close. They're close in scores. Ooh! I like how Wade is really good at bowling. Man, I wonder, Wade, why did you ever be down on yourself? You're like really good at bowling. You got a perfect bowling score. The only reason that this stopped is because Knuckles had to rudely, I know, okay. First of all, I am Knuckles' friend. I love Knuckles, but I gotta say this with all the love in my heart. It is very disrespectful of you, Knuckles, to have interrupted that bowling match. But of course, that guy was trying to take your energy. I understand. I get it. But still, you should have chosen a different place. I do like how we got two things happening at the same time. Two final battles. Wade versus his dad in the bowling tournament. And then we also got Knuckles versus that guy who's trying to buy him and steal his energy and use it to, I guess, conduct a lot of electricity and use it to power a bunch of buildings. That's what I'm guessing it's used for. It's not explicitly said what it's going to be used for, although I can only assume it's going to be used for villainry. What's interesting about this, that dad of Wade, that pesky guy, he's the bad honcho, and also that buyer dude. I like how the family gets together to stop that buyer guy stealing all of Knuckles' powers just long enough so Knuckles can recover and blast that guy out of this realm. You gotta take care of the dad, and the daddy's like, I just wanna go bowling, and Wade is like, but bro, you abandoned me, and you wanted me to sell my friend out. You're not a good guy, you're a bad dad. People don't change, they never do. They only become more aware of who they are, and they find ways to mitigate whatever personality traits they have. They never change. And he just learned that lesson just now at the ripe old age of however old he is. How old is Wade? He looks to be about 30. How old do you think Wade is? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, Wade is like, oh my goodness, I did it! I won, I'm a champion. I get to hang out with my pal Knuckles. We did it, we hooray, hurrah, high five. And then that's the end of the show. That's it, that's the end. Oh boy, I have a few things to talk about the show. First of all, who little Knuckles? The first episode was perfect. It focused on Knuckles heavily, and it focused on what problems Knuckles was facing. Knuckles is call to action, and then Knuckles decides to have Wade as an apprentice. After he decides to have Wade as an apprentice, the show focuses mostly on Wade. There's even a Wade-centric episode in these 6 episodes of Knuckles. It's 6 episodes, and you give one to making sure that Wade knows the backstory of Knuckles. I guess that episode is also about Knuckles, but it's presented in the least cool way possible. I felt cringe watching that episode. I felt like there would have been a better opportunity to animate his backstory sometime. I honestly wanted to see his backstory animated, but I guess it would have been proved too violent, I guess, because his dad gets eaten by a bunch of owls and then he's sad. It's basically a Lion King. I like how the series shows Knuckles' personality. He's very warrior-faced. I like his discipline. There's some cultural differences between the echidnas and humans, and he's trying to learn how to fit in. But of course, he has his tradition. And I like that the way that he looks at the world. He's very respectful. He's a good person. I like Knuckles. Before this series, I was like, who's Knuckles? Who cares? Well, I know who Knuckles is, but he's the big punchy guy, right? That's the furthest extent I knew of Knuckles before watching this show. But after watching this show, I know Knuckles like he's on the back of my hand. I can read him like he's a newspaper. I know Knuckles like I've known him my entire life. He's my pal now, and I love him. Tails, no more. Knuckles is my new best friend. Because of this series, I'm predicting that Knuckles 3 is going to be about Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles banding together to defeat Dr. Robotnik. Because Dr. Robotnik's guy is trying to steal Knuckles. Even not for a movie per se, but for a TV series, and that is definitely going to factor in the movies, someone just tried to kidnap Knuckles, and they're going to have to address that in Sonic 3. That's my prediction for Sonic 3. What do you think is going to happen in Sonic 3? If you haven't checked out my reviews of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, you should definitely check them out. They're very fast, they're very autistic, they're very Sonic-y. You should go check them out. I like this series a lot. I think for this episode in particular, it definitely ends fast. I'm like, oh, this is done? I guess this is done now. I'm done watching this episode. Overall, this series, I think it has information that I learned from it. And now I know this information going into Sonic 3. Was this a particularly pleasurable experience, though? It was alright. It's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. I learned some things about people and such, and I think that is valuable. However, would I watch this series again? No. Ow. So I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 6 out of 10. If you like this video, I'd like to know the other platform who likes that $20 Dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents for one movie review per 1 month. Go to this link tree to support the daily grindiness of all the daily movies, so go here. And until next time, in Salad Saw, I'll see you later, my sour croutons and bacon bits, and I'll see you at Sonic 3. I gotta go fast. I gotta go fast to go see Sonic 3.